They didn't screw it up! I cannot believe they did not screw it up. This is a miracle, people! They did not screw up a licensed game. Holy shit! Alright, let me be serious for a moment. Koei Tecmo did an absolutely amazing job with this game. Considering that this is a licensed game that came out over a year ago in Japan and just now got localized here, it's so worth the wait. But let's get into my open fire review of Attack on Titan. Now let me make something clear here. I did just sing praises about this game in my intro, but that's for a good reason. If you look at the history of licensed games that come out, they tend to be pretty subpar. I mean, sure, we have rare exceptions like the Batman Arkham series and the anomaly that was Spider-Man 2 in the early 2000s, but this game still doesn't reach a 10 out of 10, I can tell you that right now. Luckily, the negatives of this game are pretty small when you look at the grand scale, so I'm going to break this down first. If you watched the first season of Attack on Titan, then I can tell you, you already know the plot of this game. The game's a pretty close one-to-one retelling of Season 1, which, while it does take any surprise away from the game, it lets us relive the pretty badass moments from Season 1. But, if you haven't finished Season 1, avoid this game as it's going to ruin the show for you, which is definitely worth a watch, no doubt. Now, not only does this game make a great transition from the two-dimensional anime to the new 3D art style, but they've also nailed the movement system. Now, if you watch the anime, you know about the ODM system. So in-game, it feels so fluid to swing from the city, jumping from Titan to Titan. It feels effortless, which is fantastic. It's also very surprising when you consider how complicated this movement system is. Now, the game does give you a short tutorial, and I mean short, it only took me 7 minutes. At the very start of the game, you're going to be given the basics of movement and combat using stationary targets set during the training that Eren received with his cadet class, which is a great little tie-in. Now, when the game drops you into combat for the first time, and you go up against your first Titan, you feel so clumsy and awkward. But as the game progresses and you learn how to use your new tactics, you'll be quickly dismembering and killing Titans with ease. Now, my personal favorite moment in the game is the first time you get to play as Mikasa. She and the other characters have different special abilities that make each one feel unique and fresh. But playing as her allows you to strike multiple times when passing an attack point that's located on one of the various Titans, which allows for some pretty cool moments, I'm not gonna lie. Now, you're also going to get squad members from across the battlefield that you can use to help take on larger Titans and other groups of Titans that surround certain objectives. Now, this mechanic becomes necessary within the first few hours of the game, as it will quickly remind you that if you find yourself surrounded by Titans or unable to use your ODM, you are as good as dead. Trust me when I say the game stays very true to the show. I found myself in an open field inside the city one time, surrounded by Titans, with nothing to grapple onto but the Titans themselves. This left me unable to escape the fight. Couple that with the blades I had that were about to break with 0 replacements, I became a pretty tasty Titan snack after getting ganged up on. It's a good idea to stick to the buildings and do your best to emulate what you saw in the show. That's definitely for certain. The balancing act of making you feel like a deadly warrior to running in fear from getting eaten by a Titan makes each mission feel different from the other. Nothing plays out quite the same. Now, equipment can also be depleted. You have gas canisters that allow you to boost your ODM, and then you also have your blades, which break from too much use. Now, if you complete side objectives, this will allow you to refill these vital assets, as well as finding other soldiers in the battlefield who can help you out. Now, this is a big spoiler for Season 1 coming up, but I have to talk about it to discuss the game properly. So, if you haven't watched the show, fast forward to the point down in the comments below. I'll put a timer there. And that's going to be your save point if you haven't finished the show. But, here we go. Click now in 3, 2, 1. Holy shit! Titan Eren shows up to the fight. And it's pretty early on in the game, which is great. Now, not only does he rain down terror on the opposing Titans when you're swinging around him, but the game gives you control of him in the following segment. Now, these parts of the game are absolutely amazing. But, for the first time, it happens just like it does in the show. The Cadet Corps is being overrun, and then Titan Eren shows up, right after we think that he's been eaten by a Titan trying to rescue Armin. Now, when you're playing as Titan Eren, you're able to kick, punch, throw, jump, sprint, any possible movement that you can do to hit Titans, you just do it. Now the smaller ones can usually be punched right through buildings in a gigantic flash of gore and rubble, but the larger ones might take a whole 2 hits, or you pick them up and smash them in the ground and that puts them down. Now, these moments really make you feel like the king of the battlefield, but in a sense it's a shame that it follows the TV series so much because it doesn't give us many of these sections. I wish we could have seen more of this. Now, when I mentioned Valkyria Chronicles earlier in this review, now, what I want to say is it's not the exact gameplay that I'm referencing, it's the upgrade system from that game. It pops up in between missions in this game. You're given this nice research and upgrade system like Valkyria Chronicles had, which allows you to use points and materials that you've gained from each mission to upgrade your blades, ODM rig, and gear. Now, while it's pretty simple, it adds just a little layer of depth that helps you give something more than just a simple mission-based game. You can also interact with characters of the show at base, which sometimes leads to these really cool 3D versions of scenes from the show. Now, what's better about these scenes is that the fact they are nearly 100% faithful to the show, using the same voice actors, which, this is another disclaimer for people who haven't seen the show yet, the game audio itself is not dubbed. It's the original Japanese with English subtitles, which, if you've watched the show, it's not going to bother you whatsoever. However, it does make me think that the dialogue was ripped from the show. However, I don't think I heard any original lines of spoken dialogue during the game whatsoever. But, to me, it gives a more authentic feel to having the original audio in the game. Now, for those that beat the core game, there's also a 4-player co-op mode that you can take on as well. Now, I wasn't able to find a match, but I'm not surprised either. This game has flown under the radar here in the States, so it's possible that not many people have picked it up yet, or the servers are just having issues on day one in the States. But I do look forward to getting into it with friends after watching videos online. Co-op gameplay looks like a blast. All in all, I really found myself enjoying this game. While it's not perfect, and granted many games can't pull that off either, but for a fan of the series, the game does an excellent job of thrusting you into the world. Now, if you get tired of simple, monotonous gameplay, however, don't say I didn't warn you. This game is repetitive, but then again, a lot of our favorite games are anyway. Also beware of a couple of frame rate dips when the game gets heavy, and this can lead to some frustrating moments when you lag, lose track of yourself, and find yourself grappling into the second-story apartment window of a house. Now, this will happen a few times in your first missions, but you'll get used to how everything works out. Overall, if you're a fan of this show, the game is a high recommendation. It's faithful to the source material, and for the most part gives you a very solid experience. I give Attack on Titan on the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One a 7 out of 10. It's a good game, and definitely worth the time. Now, don't confuse this game with the awful 3DS title that came out a few years ago. That would be a very big mistake. Alrighty guys, thanks so much for watching another Nautical Tank Open Fire review. Leave a comment below telling me what you think, and if you care to see more reviews, make sure to hit that subscribe button and stay tuned for more videos. And I'll see you on the next one. Take care.